usually on here with my daughter-in-law, or I'm on here with one of my songs. But today I want to share something different. I had a dream about a week ago, shared that with my pastor, and I began to really seek the Lord for some things. And sometimes we can get really caught up in praying for self, and that's good. We need to ask God, for things for our life. But I felt like the Lord asked me, "Are you more concerned with things or me?" So I began to just really pray about other people and other things, and then He began to show me something, and He gave me a word that I found out was for an individual. But when I got done giving the word, He spoke to me. He said, "This is also for you and the church," and I want to share that. And He showed me in First Chronicles. I'm just going to read that. First Chronicles, the 16th chapter, and the whole chapter is good, but He really had me to focus on verse 13, and I'll read a little bit of that. It says, "O ye seed of Israel, His servant, ye children of Jacob, His chosen ones. He is the Lord our God. His judgments are in all the earth. Be ye mindful always of His covenant, the word which He commanded to 1,000 generations, even of the covenant which He made with Abraham, and of His oath unto Isaac, and hath confirmed the same to Jacob for a law, and to Israel for an everlasting covenant." And I focused on the part about Isaac, so I looked that up of what He said to Isaac, and I'm going to get to my point in a minute. In Genesis, the 26th chapter, verse 1, says, "And there was a famine in the land," and right now we're facing that, having a famine in the land with things that have just gone totally crazy. "And there was a famine in the land beside the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went into Abimelech, king of the Philistines, and to Gerar." I'm not sure how to say that word. "And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and will bless thee, for unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father." And so I've heard about, the covenant with Abraham, that we are the seed of Abraham. When we was kids, we heard that song about the father Abraham had many sons had father Abraham. I'm one of them, and so are you. Genesis 17, verse 2. And this is when Abraham was 90 years old before he got the promise. It said in verse 1, it says he was 90 years old and 9, and said the Lord appeared to him. In verse 2, it says, "And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly." You know what? I think what the Lord really showed me was that He made that covenant with Abraham, and He told him that it was for 1,000 generations. And I just love reading in Genesis. But if you read that and what He tells him, that it was for that he was going to have a son, and he was going to be the father of many nations. And what I'm getting at is he said it is for 1,000 generations. And we're part of that generation. And I believe that there's, when things like that has happened this year, and we get lost, and we get worried and afraid, and even in things that haven't happened in this year, we can get caught up in things in life. And I know there have been times myself I've asked God, "Where are you at?" I don't understand some things that are going on. God, where are you at in my life right now? But we can go through all of the blessings and all of the promises of God because they're throughout the Word everywhere, and we can hold on to the promises of God. But we can go back as far as to Abraham and hold on to the covenant that he gave Abraham because he told him it was for us as well. So if I can go back that far, and if I listen to what his word said, like he told Isaac, stay where you're at. Sometimes we go through things and we want to run. We want to go do something else, there's got to be something better out there, whether it's a job or it's a church or, whatever you're doing at the time, and things don't seem to be going right, and you're seeking God with everything that you've got, and you feel for a time you're in the right place, and then you begin to wonder. I believe to somebody, God is saying, stay where you're at, because where you're about to go is what in the world we would say Egypt. So you don't go to Egypt. Stay where you're at, and I will bless you exceedingly. I will multiply thee exceedingly. If you'll, just like he told Isaac, if you'll stay put, stay where you're at this time. And if you'll seek me, see, the word says, if you seek my face you'll find. So if you'll really begin to search after him and not the things that life can offer, because, yes, sometimes bills, they're all due. We don't know what we're going to do next. But if we'll begin to seek him and just look for him, get in his word, find out what his word says. Lord, for what I'm going through now, what are your promises for me? And his promises are yes and amen. Yes, and so be it. God will see you through. It doesn't matter what you're going through. God will see you through. In the middle of the heartache, you can't see nothing but heartache. In the middle of the struggle and the hard times, you can't see nothing but hard times. But if you can stop and remember where he brought you from, how you've come out of where you've been, and know that he's still God, the covenant is still real, that he wants to multiply you, the word says, exceedingly. And I feel like the word for today for some people is stay where you are. And he says, I'll uphold that covenant. If you'll walk upright with me, it's not just about saying, well, Lord, this is what your word says, but I can go do what I want to do. I can act like I want to act because I'm upset at the moment, and God, you'll understand because I'm only human. It's not by our righteousness anyway, because the word says our righteousness is as filthy rags. So it's not by anything that I've done or by who I am, or he thinks more highly of somebody else than he does of me. It's I'm not worth that anyway, but by his blood I've been made worthy, that I'm an heir to the kingdom of God, that I am the seed of Abraham. So that covenant that he gave with Abraham, it still stands now. So it don't matter what you're going through. If you'll remain upright before him, if you will seek him, because he said, if you'll seek me, you'll find me. If you'll dwell in the house of the Lord, you'll find him. So sometimes we need to quit asking for self. Lord, I need you to do this. But focus on somebody else. Let him lay somebody else on your heart. And then you pray for them with the blessing that you're wanting to have in your life. God, I ask you to bless them. And it doesn't have to be somebody because the word I got this past week was for somebody I haven't seen since they were a child. And when he dropped that into my heart, I'm like, but I'm not even sure if that's who that is. But I knew I had right then get up and pray for that individual, not knowing what was going on in their life at the time, because he will begin to speak to you. And then you may ask him, Lord, why are you using me when I have all these needs in my life? That I've got things that are going on in my life. I don't understand now. I'm still needing things answered that I've prayed. Sometimes I have to believe God just for a miracle in just ordinary things that would come easy for somebody else. So, while we're seeking Him and we begin to reach outside of our own needs and our own self and ask Him to bless somebody else, then He'll begin to open up things that He's wanting in your life. Things will begin to change in your life at the time. Because like I said, His promises, He's never failed me yet. When I get aggravated and thinking, God, what's going to be next? God, I don't know how to get over where I'm at now. So when I say, okay, God, this is what I need, He says, are you looking for things or are you looking for me? So I had to readjust the way that I was praying and say, okay, God, I want what you want for me. And then when He began to give me a word for somebody else and I gave it, I thought, well, now, Lord, I need to hear that too. And I felt like He spoke to me. He said, this is for you. But if you're willing to reach out to somebody else, then I'll speak into you. And He said, this is also for the church, that we have worried about life, the situations around us, and we have forgotten that His covenant has not changed. The covenant for us to be multiplied exceedingly in our life, that if we'll walk upright before Him, continue to walk upright, when it don't seem like it's done any good, nothing has changed, there's a change coming. God is wanting to do something with His people, and I believe a reset has happened. And I'm not saying it was just because of what's happened this year in our government, but I believe something has happened that God is getting His children's attention, and He's bringing in the deliverance. He's bringing restoration, that the things that you have been praying for and you walked upright before Him, things are about to begin to change. Because the closer we get to the coming of God, the closer we get, the more important it is that we seek only after Him, not things, not other people. I'm thinking I've been a single man for 14 years, doing what I thought was right, and now have a 5-year-old son, and he's beginning to wonder where his mommy is, because he was. I'm just going to say it. I adopted him when he was a baby, and he's never had a mother in his life. Now he's wanting that. So I began to say, Lord, is it time for me to get married again? But I had to refocus that and say, okay, God, I want what is your will, not what I want in my life, because I would love to be married and have the life of the married man with the mom and the dad for this child and a grandmother for my grandchildren. But God, if that's not what you want for me right now, and I begin to seek after you and not those things that I think that I want in my life, then you will begin to bless me with not what is only going to be something for now. It's not going to be a temporal thing. It's going to be a permanent thing, because we need things that are going to last. He wants to know. We're always asking God, or our prayer is, Lord, I trust you that you're going to see me through. I trust you, Lord. But do you think maybe, and I've said this, I'm sure I've already said it and probably put it in some of my food for thoughts. Do you think maybe He's wanting to see, can He trust you? That He knows, if I bless you with this now, if I give this to you now, is this going to be substance that's going to be used from now on in your life? Or is it going to be because this is what you feel you need now, and then later on you don't, so you just let it go? But when God begins to speak to you, obey Him. Learn to walk in His ways. Do what He told Isaac. Walk right before me. Don't go on off into Egypt, but stay where you're at right now, and let me give you the land to possess it where you're at. So don't be looking for something out there new and different, but let Him bless you where you're at and watch Him work. So I think that my word for the church, even for myself, walk right before the Lord, and He will multiply you exceedingly. God bless you.